Hello and welcome to the Uprising Show. And today I have a very special guest from actually the same city where I'm at, Pittsburgh. Manush, how are you? Introduce yourself to our listeners in a very brief and then we go into the conversation.
Thank you, Vivek, for having me on the show. And it's a very great privilege to talk on this platform. My name is Manush. I am basically from Pittsburgh, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of ZEGENEX. It's a wound healing startup in Pittsburgh.
Thanks, Manush. We will go into details of ZEGENEX and everything ZEGENEX is doing. But before that, Manush, your career spans across biomedical research, health tech innovation, startup mentorship. But first, let's go back in time. Where you were born and raised, was either of your parents an entrepreneur?
Definitely not. I was born and brought up in a small town in Kerala, southern part of India. It's Kollam. It's a small, we can call town, but it's like a, the cities, right? So, and I completed my high school and moved to Cochin. That's the industrial city of Kerala. Moved to the industrial city in India, Mumbai. That's where I completed my Ph.D. Went to Japan for 2 years on an invitation fellowship for my postdoctoral studies. After that, I came to US. Since 2008, I'm in the US as a biomedical researcher, working for last 15 years in biomedical research field. Developed some of the products. So those were my journey. And telling about my parents, they were not at all entrepreneurs. My father was a happy central government employee in India. Got retired by 60, and my mother was a homemaker. So we were simply like a middle class family, and we were told to do best in your studies. So that is the only way to become prosperous, So that's, I tell my kids also, at your age, focus on education, what you can control, you will succeed. That's it.
Yeah, that's a great intro. So you started in academic research, how you were saying, and you worked on type 2 diabetes models and heart diseases and cancer research. But now you are CEO of ZEGENEX, so building cutting edge wound healing solutions. What made you transition from being a scientist to entrepreneur?
Yeah, COVID-19 pandemic changed my perspective, So I was a happy researcher until 2019, working in the lab. It gives me pride and joy when I could publish some of the topmost journals in Nature Genetics, Nature Communication, some of the top journals in science. But in 2019, I have the realization that many of the scientific discoveries in the universities do not add value to patients if they are not taken out of the university and commercialized. And if we don't get it to the patient, it's not going to be worth it. So that is the strong motivation for me to get out and work towards a cause. And that's the purpose I'm working for. So
how do you find this transition? I always say my upbringing is somewhat similar to you. Also, my parents were service class in India. And so long time, I have this thing in my mind where I have security, swasta security. So I had to do a lot of unlearning, as in in my own practice, to take bigger risk in my own life. And you did the same because, anybody who's moved out of countries is certainly, you're taking risk. So was this hard for you? Did you have to do tell yourself? And even now when you did, of course, it was a bigger mission and conviction you had that made you do this. But how do you feel this transition? Is it like you have to do a lot of unlearning still?
Definitely. So, the mindset for working for an employer is different from working as like working for yourself. That mindset change is the big thing. So that's a very hard transition. We need to like unlearn a lot of things, and we have to get accustomed to that. So that's it. That's a real change.
Yeah. Would you say, I guess the question is, were your parents supportive of that, or family? They were like, all right, now you want to do this?
Yes. I mean, as I said, like my parents did not have any background as an entrepreneur or a business background. So when I wanted to do business in the US, my mom told that before you jump into that, learn the process. That's why I went to executive MBA in healthcare in University of Pittsburgh. So I took the time during that COVID period when lab was shut down. I used that time to learn through the business school. Yeah.
Fantastic. So you made efforts to learn the business side before you said like, all right, let's go prepared there.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now talking about ZEGENEX. So it is focused on really on rapid, carefree wound healing. And that's a big deal. Very much a game changer. A lot of things we were talking before our recording. So what's the science behind it? How close are we to seeing this in real world?
Yeah, basically, telling about ZEGENEX, it's a small molecule based wound healing approach. We are trying to find a new way to treat non-healing wounds. So this is a University of Pittsburgh-based spin-off, and this came out of my postdoctoral research during the university, during the 10-year period. So our first product would be coming out as a topical cream that can be applied for chronic non-healing wounds like diabetic ulcers. So this was possible because we discovered a set of proprietary drugs that can accelerate body's natural healing process by stimulating growth factors. So far there are other ways to supplement external growth factor supplementation. So we find that there are some challenges in getting the kind of care, and we could treat those problems in a better way. That's why we are finding out a new solution for this.
And how far are you in, let's say, getting into the patient's hands?
So the molecule was tested and found to be useful in healing wounds in half time. And it has been tested in lacerations and other models. Right now, we are in the process of testing in rat models and also diabetic mouse models. Once all these pilot studies are completed, we would be in a process to get into clinical trials. That's the next step.
And we were talking about this. So this is like a period of 5 to 7 years.
5 years. Yes.
Okay. Hopefully things can move faster. There is something about, at least on this side, at least which the pace of things, how things are moving. At least I feel like in this one area, we can certainly make improvements. Yes, this is one area.
I believe that inculcating AI into the regulatory process and clinical trials would like fast track all this process. It is part of it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. How does this ZEGENEX's solution actually compare to existing treatments? Could you also talk about that? And what's the vision really? Could this then be expanded into other areas like tissue regeneration or post-surgical recovery? Where is your vision of this leading to? Where do you see the potential is. Can you talk about these two things, please?
Yeah. So the current protocol for dealing wounds is like symptomatically, like diabetic wounds. When a wound happen due to diabetic condition, so it's a complex metabolic syndrome. It's a combination of different factors like high BMI, high blood pressure, fatty liver, and NAFLD. I mean, it boils down to the final stage of diabetes. So, the majority of the population, they have this diabetes, but it depends. Like we all will get it, but at what stage we are going to get it. If the BMI is high, we are going to get it early, right? So, if you think about US, it is one of the developed countries where we are in the bottom of the chart in terms of BMI levels. So we are likely to get early. So the number of patients, it's going to be really, really alarming. So you told about how a product like this can succeed, right? So some of the factors when we thought about this product, like one is like whether the sizable population would benefit out of their desirability, right? So that is one factor, whether this product can succeed. Then the next thing is the feasibility, whether we as a team are capable of getting this to market, right? So we are assembling a team of scientists, innovators, and clinical experts to take us through this development path. The third thing is the viability, whether in the current market, the product people cannot access it. Like around 6% of the patients who are in need of diabetic foot ulcers are getting access to care because it's expensive. These growth factor solutions are really expensive. There are like tissue patches derived out of placental membranes or umbilical cord. They are limited in supply. There are growth factors, recombinant growth factors, because the manufacturing is complex. So, because of those challenges, supply chain issues, the product is in demand, but limited supply. And the overall process is expensive. CMS is not able to cover it. So, there is a dire need of this solution. So, your question about whether this can be applied in multiple solutions, right? So we can definitely have value for diabetic foot ulcers. It can also potentially be used for burns, lacerations as well. Lacerations, we already know that it works really well. And the advantage of this product is being a small molecule, it is easily scalable compared to other products. And yeah, so looks like we could serve a different category of people who are suffering from wounds.
Would you think this is like a one solution for all types of wounds? Is that where you're...
Yeah, I do not want to have a broader claim, but so far whatever we tested, lacerations, it works really well. And diabetic foot ulcers, we have initial indications that it has the potential to make the difference. So for other type of wounds, we still need to test it.
Yeah. And the impact of this is huge. And just like one condition, we were talking about the diabetic amputations, and that itself is such a big problem.
1.6 million people have diabetic foot ulcers now, and more people are getting into the line, and around 150,000 amputations happen every year in this country. And the 5-year survival rate of the patients who are undergoing amputation is low. So the quality of life of patients after this amputation significantly, it's affected. That's the reason.
And it can be avoided through this thing. Wow. Yeah. I also saw that I think there was a very recent PR release that about your discovery with zebrafish and their ability to regenerate the heart muscle and resolve scars. Can you break down how this translates to healing in general or wound healing?
Yeah, I mean, there are like several regeneration models, like starting from primitive organisms. You can say planaria, C. elegans, or Drosophila, zebrafish, then mice, rats, dogs, even. The best model is pig because they are very close to humans. So we decide on the model based on the need. If we are using a drug screen, we may need large scale drug screen. So we'll select a simple model. So most likely people start with Drosophila or something. So we have like zebrafish being a vertebrate. It is, and it can, the embryos are transparent and they fit in 96 well plates, easy to screen. You can load it all 96 well plates with the embryos, and within 24 hours, all they get the functional heart in zebrafish, and you can see visually, you can see them beating literally. So it is a very good model to study for chemical screen, and it has a remarkable capacity to regenerate heart. If you cut out like 20% of the ventricle, within 30 to 60 days, it can completely heal, replace the muscle and heal by itself. So
it's really effective in a way. Is there something better than this, or this is the most effective model?
There are planarians. Planarians are even, they are primitive, but if you cut out the head or tail, it will grow back. There are like the simpler the model, they have remarkable capacity to regenerate.
And how does this work operationally? Like, again, you are a startup, early stage company, and then how do you keep an eye on new research versus the work that you're already working on? How does that work? Like, is it like operationally? How is it like you're always devoting time towards new research as well in parallel, or is it more like explain how it actually works behind the scenes a little bit?
So you're talking about the drug discovery process, or okay?
Yeah.
So what we did was that we conducted around like 10,000 molecules we selected, and we screened for those. Like, as I said, like 96 well plates you can fit in. So in a day you can screen around 200 molecules. So you run through that whole screen, and we identify some of the lead compounds. We have around 20 lead compounds to work with. And one of the molecule which we characterized and we patented that. So that is the one which we licensed it out of the university for developing in the company ZEGENEX.
So you licensed it from another company?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's another one that you found the molecule. That's where you did the patent on that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, the drug which was licensed is having the patent. So we have other new candidates in the pipeline, which we can make new patents or new like use case scenarios.
Very interesting. And for a few of listeners who are not familiar with this world, just like how much valuable it makes to the company once you have these patents, especially on the research side when you find or develop when you're building these products? Does it add to more credibility to the company, valuation? Does it help in all those things, or fundraising in general?
Yeah, patents are always valuable because before having the product to test in the market, patents are the ones which is patents and publications associated with the product. That is considered valuable because it is a peer-reviewed process. That way, experts are like reviewing our product, whether it is liable to use it or not. So that review process will give us credibility. So that investors also agree with that once you have a patent for the product, you would be able to develop this into a product which would be useful in the market, and you will have the exclusivity for next 20 years to work on.
Makes sense. Now reminds me of this Shark Tank. That's why they keep asking, do you have patents on your everything? Especially when there is something, new process or no design or new inventions and new discoveries. Now coming to the point of, many startups struggle with the clinical and regulatory hurdles. And we were talking about, especially in your field, and especially when you're bringing new products to the market. And what's been your biggest challenge so far? Like, and how are you tackling it to how are you tackling that problem right now?
The main thing is that raising capital for getting us to market. It's a long period of time which we need to wait until it starts creating revenue. So that long cycle of capital raise is a challenge. As a founder, that is one of the biggest challenge. The second thing is the regulatory process, because this is a new molecule entity which does not have any other indications. FDA have to take through a new drug process, which is the longest. So it has value, but it takes time.
So longest among all other approval process, because it's a new molecule, this is going to take the most time.
Yes.
Typically, if it's in an already existing molecule, in that case, this 5-7 window cuts down to how many years? Does it come down to 1-2 years?
Yes. Yeah.
3-4 years. Wow. Yeah. And what's kind of like the average for existing molecules? Is it still 3-4 years on an average, or that's time frame?
So if there is another indication already been proven, or any other similar product it is available, we would be able to take a 510K route. It's a medical device route. We would be able to use that. But in our case, that is not possible, because even though the cream which we are making is a medical device, it is considered as a medical device, but the drug which we are going to incorporate in that is a new molecule. So when I talk to regulatory experts, it's going to take us through a new drug pathway.
Got it. And just again, for people who are listening, why is this categorized as medical device, even though it's a cream? Can you talk about that too a little bit?
I mean, I do not know that why that is the case, because regulatory experts would be able to tell properly. Yeah. So this is my understanding right now.
Yeah.
So, but the reasons I believe FDA has chosen like that.
Yeah. I think it goes down to
mostly by like it can
types,
along with the scaffoldings or band-aids when your cream is applied. So it could be that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also not an expert, but this is the second time in the same day I'm hearing about this. So this is the exact same discussion I had with someone earlier in the day, which was also building a software company, but because they also are building a type of software which is about monitoring in the OR, so they are categorized as a med device company too. So I don't know the exact details, but I would love to explore that further, I guess. Cool. So now, of course, you have a very scientific research and diverse background overall. So, and it spans across many things: gene editing, organ on a chip models, and precision medicine. It's all combining together in some areas. Where do you see this, see the most exciting breakthroughs coming or happening in the next decade or so?
Science is always evolving. That's great. If you think about, like, you cannot get away from AI. Right now, AI adoption is going to be the key. No? So, we are at the age of efficiency. So, in order to become efficient, so you need to adopt AI at the same time. I would say supervised AI. That may be the better word to keep it. So, we know that we have the demands for value-based care, preventive care. So that can incorporate AI into the framework, right? That can reduce the cost of offerings to the patients. And if you look at telehealth, post-COVID, telehealth didn't go away, and it won't. So in my field, like drug screening, using AI for large-scale drug screening, we have used a limited level of AI. Like it was a semi-automated screen, what we have done. So that's part of it. So we discovered the lead molecules by using AI algorithm. So that it will be an unbiased approach. So similar to that, based on protein drug interaction models, you can use machine learning. You can use those kind of softwares to identify new lead candidates. And by using that, this early screening time or early development time in the drug development process can be reduced. So that could reduce the time frame for hitting the drugs to market. So we have seen some of the drugs which are identified by AI in the clinical trials. So promising compounds are getting into the clinical trials. So we'll see more of that. So the next thing, we are making robots. A lot of robots are coming up. And we have even micro robots, nano robots. So they are going to be like in use in drug delivery. All those things would be the next phase. We will have brain-computer interface, direct communication between machine to humans. That will be the norm. So one of the like recent studies, like where they incorporated neurons into chip, and the signals from the neurons can even power the chip to act as like maybe a pacemaker. This can be used as a medical device. So we don't know what else could be coming. Then I was working on CRISPR-Cas models to make gene knockout models for studying mechanisms of disease. So that was part of the drug discovery process. We understand the mechanism of that drug, how it works in the animals. So CRISPR is going to be in the forefront in the coming era. It can treat a lot of heritable diseases that were not possible before. So we have seen the first drug which was made to treat muscular dystrophy. It's a heritable disease. So we were not able to treat that. It's a quite remarkable achievement. And we will see more of that CRISPR-Cas9 treatments to target many of the diseases that were not able to be treated before. Then comes personalized medicine or digital twins, taking the genome data from an individual, and you can recreate organs by means of induced flow. Like you can say that induced pluripotent cells. So we may be able to regrow the organs, like key organs like liver, kidney, or eyes in a lab dish using your own cells derived from your body. So this can prevent rejections. So these are some of the key discoveries that we can expect in the next decade.
I saw a very popular stem cell company, and then I went into this rabbit hole of finding a few more. I don't understand the landscape very clearly, but I did see like few of them are in the US, and this company, which started my research without naming them, they are not even operating in the US. They are operating like a medical tourism model, but lots of athletes go there once they get injured, and to get those replacement therapies. Is this very highly regulated, this area? I'm not in this field as deep as you are. So is it the companies those are here in the US, they are going through these long cycles of getting approvals, and to cut the line, this company decided to go out of the US and operate from there? Is that what is happening?
If you look at some of the diabetic foot ulcer studies, most of the studies were conducted in other countries. I mean, it depends on the stage of the process. So, initially the testing is done in US, safety, phase 1 safety is done in the US. Whether the drug is safe, the toxicity levels we also need to look at, and also the therapeutic index. And in stage 2 and stage 3, stage 2 you test it in like the efficacy in like 100 patients you test it, and stage 3 you have to test it in multiple countries, multiple labs, in thousands of patients. That is the norm for getting FDA approval. So maybe part of that process, it will be tested in multiple countries.
Okay. But in general, we were talking before recording this that hopefully AI will help us get things faster to the market, especially when these goes through this regulatory approvals.
In between, I was working briefly in clinical trial management company in Cincinnati. So I know the process from phase 1 to phase 4, what they do. So many of the process what we have, we could inculcate AI to make it efficient and also make it faster. So many of the processes where patients are allocated, how patients are selected, how different stages of the process, you would be able to inculcate AI into that. So by doing so, even in FDA, there are processes where AI can be a part of it. So all these things can make much more efficient.
Yeah. Fingers crossed on that. Hopefully we'll get there. Cool. This has been great. Before we conclude the episode, I like to go into more like fun questions, personal questions. So we'll jump into that section of our episode. We'll start with sort of like a rapid fire round, 3 questions. Okay. Are you ready?
Sure. Go ahead.
So, one health tech startup besides yours you are excited about right now, and why?
Yeah, I wanted to highlight another company, Molecule DX. This is a AI-assisted early cancer diagnostic startup. Again, it's in Pittsburgh. So, because the early diagnosis is going to be critical in improving the patient outcomes and 5-year survival rate. Because liver cancer, it's detected in stage 4 and 5. The rate of survival is less than 18%. So it's 5-year survival rate is 18%. So if you can improve the odds of getting that, you are helping people. So this is based on like cancer specific molecular signatures, and Based on the UPMC cancer patient samples testing, they have shown to be effective more than 90% and they were able to predict patient outcomes to the extent of 90% accuracy.
Now, what's called molecular DX?
Molecule DX.
Molecule DX. Okay. We'll put the link to this company as well in our show notes, wherever you get it. Next question. What's a book, podcast, or a mentor that shaped your entrepreneurial mindset?
I can say, like, talking about mindset. So how can you change? How can you achieve organizational change? So first, we need to, describe an entrepreneur like you can have a vision of a product which is not there. You are producing something out of nothing, right? So you need to have that kind of mindset. For that, you need to have like proper discipline of how you want to achieve that. So I would like one of the book called Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And so when you are an employee working for someone, that's a different mindset than working for yourself. And we need to have a change. The first thing we have to have a different in mindset.
And you suggested the power of habits for that.
So I would say that in that book, if you want to inculcate a change, a simple habit, for example, if I want to change the way I'm going to do things in tomorrow, we have to forcefully inculcate that change for 7 days. Then it will become a habit. So if we adopt that kind of a change in an organization, you will be able to achieve organizational change. And then regarding personality, okay, I admire a person who is also an entrepreneur, like he was a super successful entrepreneur, Mark Cuban.
Also, he was, I think, born in Pittsburgh or raised in Pittsburgh.
He was born in Pittsburgh. He was born in my community. He was born and raised in my house where I'm living now. Okay. So, and that is the motivation for me to watch Shark Tank, and one day I want to meet him personally. So, yeah.
Yeah, why not? Mark Cuban, we are trying to get you on this show as well. And you heard it here. You're inspiring a lot of people. Also, what he's doing now is really great, in my opinion, with the generic drugs. Cool. Last question. What is more exciting to you? A lab breakthrough or closing a funding round, considering your current situation?
Definitely. It's a difficult time to fundraise. Definitely, I know that. But we are excited about the product we have, and that product can make a meaningful impact for the patients who are suffering from diabetic foot ulcers. So we are conducting pilot trials in clinically relevant models, and we are looking for, eagerly looking for the results right now. And we will have, probably we'll have some announcements soon. And as you know that the 2025 looks unpredictable, but we hope that change is inevitable. And in the next couple of years, we will see a dramatic improvement in the investment activity also, and the startup development. Yeah, I think we will have a lot of startups coming up.
So that's the optimism we want to drive, especially talking through entrepreneurs like you. That's a good message. Well, this has been great. Thanks for your time. Much appreciate sharing a little bit of your story and more detail on ZEGENEX, where you are and what you're building. If anybody wants to reach out to you, how can they best, where can they find you, how to connect with you?
Yeah, you can look at www.zegenex.com, and you can contact us through that website. You can also reach out to me by email, manushsm@zegenex.com. Yeah, is this? Yeah, I'm available all the time. So yeah, please.
All right, cool. Thanks, Manush. Again, much appreciated. Thanks for your time. Thanks for being on the Uprising Show.
Thank you so much, Vivek.